Te rupe ka tumu, te kākā, ka kete te pipi, wharauroa, ka kui e ngā manu o te wao tapu nui a tāne puta noa, tau mai anō rā. The Maori Party is facing a fresh challenge from rangatahi in the heart of Tariana Turia's electorate. Te Tai Hauauru was home to the establishment of the Maori Party and now home to the new youth section of the Mana Party. Misty Harrison is leading the charge for change for young Māori and urging other rangatahi to be more politically involved. Jody Ihaka with this report.
I think that everybody becomes involved in politics just by being born. We live in a society where politics shapes the way in which we live. This place is my marae, Pariki no Marae. It's a place where me and my wānau can come to spiritually nourish ourselves, to nourish our wairua, to reconnect with our whenua, and just to maintain and carry on the values and the tikanga of our tupuna. And yeah, I love this place. This is my home.
Finding faith in politics.
Since a young age, I've been with my mum and watched a lot of my elders occupy Pākai Tori, and then later took part in the Takutai Moana Hikoi and watched the kohanga marches and learnt about the land marches and things like that. So those are examples for me on why we need to engage in politics and make a change to the system that's bringing all these struggles on our people.
1995, and Wanganui hits the headlines as Māori take over a public garden in protest. Slow progress in the River Treaty settlement saw Māori such as Tariana Turia, Ken Mair and Neko Tangaroa become the face of Māori anguish, as they protest and argue that this is their traditional fishing settlement and pā site. The town mayor and police deny these claims, and Pākehā and Māori politics rage for 79 days. In the end, they left peacefully, claiming victory and calling this Pākai Tori. The Harrison whānau returned to the place they learned firsthand about Māori politics.
I knew that my elders and my mum weren't stupid and that they were courageous and brave people and making a stance for something bigger than what I could even imagine.
This was like a playground for us. We didn't really see this as like a war zone or a place where such big battles for our people was taking place. It was more interactive, engaging with your people and being together, which I think is something really important for us, is that kotahitanga. And that's what it, as a kid, that's what it looked like for us, whanangatanga and all those different things.
Camping.
Yeah. Fun activities, you know, and being with your relatives, your wānau and all the people was really, yeah, it was exciting. And at a young age, you don't really realise what the seriousness of the actions that are taking place at the time. But yeah, I could just say that I was proud to be a part of, I suppose.
You're all related to Ken Mair as well. He's still right up there in terms of Māori Party management. Misty, have you had a conversation with him about your role with Mana?
I haven't as yet, no.
Do you think he might be a bit angry with you?
Well, I was sort of thinking more on the lines to try and convince him to pop over to Mana instead of being angry at me for being in Mana.
This is Te Tai Hauauru, one of 7 Māori electorates throughout the country. Māori Party co-leader Tariana Turia cleaned up at the last election with 70% of the vote share. More than half of the eligible voters are rangatahi. Misty was a staunch Maori Party supporter until Hone left She's now the Mana Party rangitahi advocate in Whanganui. Here she hosts her first rangitahi hui.
Protection and healing upon it. I see Hone has already displayed strong leadership skills in terms of being honest and not compromising his values and principles. And for somebody in that arena and still being able to maintain his integrity in that way, I think he is a good leader for us.
And do you like him because he's a fighter?
Yeah. I like fighters. Yeah.
Misty's mother fought for marae-based education programs along the river. Manaia passed away almost a year ago, and her daughters continue to honour her memory. Misty is studying postgrad masters in Māori law and philosophy through Te Wānanga o Raukawa. She also teaches te reo Māori and tikanga through her marae. Today she's joined by her sisters to cater for the students who are taking part in a 3-day hui.
Ko te pauritanga, ko mate rātou, ko te nuinga. So it's really sad that many of our tupuna have gone, and whether they're dying young or dying old, it's leaving our paipais empty, and it's leaving a lot of the mahi for not so much rangatahi, but adults, pakeke and mātua, to carry on the operation of our marae.
Misty says her commitment to her whānau, hapu and iwi inspires her to be politically active. She says young Māori are online and in touch, and rangatahi from all over the country are opting for the Mana Party.
We've just been really creative and enthusiastic with our ideas on how we're going to inform our people about the advantages within the mana movement. So, yeah.
How proud are you about your daughters being involved? You know, it's not normal for Māori of this age to be politically astute, aware, and then out there advocating for other Māori to vote. Does that make you proud?
I'm very proud of them, Jodie. They have tuned myself into the importance of politics. They're hugely inspired by my late wife. She's been the leader in our family, and since her passing, the girls have picked up that mantle and ran with it, and I'm sort of supporting them, you know, all the way.
Misty says she's typical of an emerging class of young Māori living a traditional Māori lifestyle and looking for a modern political engagement. She says she keeps connected through social media and hosts a Facebook site for the Mana Rangatahi movement. She says 23 is just too young to stand, but for now, she's happy to keep the home fires burning for her whānau.
Ka vai tamariki mai. Tēnā koutou.
So joining me in the studio is Maori Party Co-Vice President Ken Mair. Kia ora, welcome.
Kia ora, Jodie.
What did you think of that?
Well, firstly, I had a feeling of, how can you put it, I thought it was tremendous that you've got our young people who are very clear in their minds in regard to being politically motivated to bring about change. Now, we might have a different perspective in regard to what waka, but I think what's fundamentally important here is that we've got a group of young people that have grown up through many of the actions that we've been involved in, myself and Tariana, and they've decided to take an independent stance, a different stance is probably a better way of putting it, and aligning themselves to mana. Certainly I have a different perspective in regard to mana, but the fact that they are standing up and saying and being politically motivated and wanting to bring about positive change for us as a people is tremendous.
It is kind of exciting because we hear a lot that young Māori aren't overly interested in politics. Does it concern you, given your new role with the Maori Party?
Well, I think the fact is that there are a lot of young Māori still very strongly supportive of the kaupapa of the Maori Party. And our kaupapa are very clear around rangatiratanga, kotaitanga. And I think that the fact that we had a wānanga 2 or 3 weeks ago where a lot of our young people came along and articulated where they wanted to go. They wanted to be directing, in a sense, rangatahi policies for the betterment of rangatahi, but as a wānau as a whole, as a people as a whole. So, you know, I'm not too fazed by the fact that there are young people, some young people that want to align themselves with mana, Labour, whoever for that matter. The fact of the matter is that we've got a strong young rangatahi component section within the Maori Party, and they're doing some wonderful work, in particular bringing about some positive changes around our policies for the betterment of rangatahi, for the betterment of wānau, for the betterment of us as a people.
Obviously, with this one example, that's your family. If you can't keep your family in your own political waka, what about for the rest of the country for Maori Party?
No, from my point of view, they're in the political waka, and I think that's the most important thing.
But they're not in your Maori Party one, they're in the mana one. They think it's more rangatahi oriented. Is that a concern for the party?
That's their prerogative. I have no difficulties in regard to them having an independent voice in that context. I certainly have a different point of view, and certainly a large number of our young people within the Maori Party have a different point of view. But the fact is that they've decided to align themselves with the Mana Party. More importantly, from my point of view, is that they're driving a message about rangatahi being involved in politics, whether that be the Māori Party, whether it be the Labour Party, the Mana. Obviously, from my point of view, we think the best alignment, because we're the only party that have that are driven by kaupapa Māori, is the Māori Party.
So let's talk about the Māori Party's election game plan. Will you be specifically focusing on rangatahi?
We will be concentrating basically in regard to wānau, in regard to rangatahi, and we'll be very pragmatic about that in the context that you will see our advertisements, our broadcasting being articulated by young people, by wānau. You'll also see, yet to be disclosed, our list composition, which will be about rangatahi and having rangatahi.
Is it going to be younger and fresher, given that, you know, last week Phil Goff came out saying the Māori Party was potentially too old and perhaps Peter Sharples is out of touch with young people? What do you say to that? Well,
two things. Phil had better be careful, of course, and he needs to look in his own house in regard to the age of some of his leadership. Certainly the Mana Party, you only need to look at their leadership, all in their 50s and 60s. You only need to look at ACT, etc. But more importantly, I suppose, from our point of view, our leadership is a leadership of integrity. They've made it very clear that we need to have influence, and to have influence, you need to be at the table. And the fact of the matter is that we've been at the table for the last 3 years, and we've brought about some major hits in regard to advancing the aspirations of Māori. Wānau water.
Okay, kia ora. Thank you very much. No doubt we'll be talking to you about it as we lead into the general election. Kia ora, thank you. Back to you, Scotty.
Ai, kia ora kōrua. Ken, kia kaha koe I roto I tō whawhai meke kia Michael Laws, hei te marama o haki hea hoa.